Today, we're diving into an incredible story of divine intervention, a political assassination, and a chain of events that links two entire kingdoms in a shared, fateful destiny. We're going to explore how a single prophecy can just ripple through history, connecting miraculous justice with some truly cold-blooded ambition. It sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? On the surface, you've got three totally separate, really dramatic events. But as we're about to see, they're all just threads in a single tightly woven narrative where every single action has a devastating and, well, predictable consequence. So, here's our roadmap. We're going to start with a moment of pure providence. Then, we'll pivot to a really dark prophecy, expose a legacy of corruption that spreads like poison. And finally, we'll watch as all these threads collide in one fateful meeting. Okay, so our story kicks off with a moment that honestly feels like it's straight out of a fairy tale. It's this amazing testament to justice and perfect timing, all thanks to the prophet Elisha. It starts with a woman. Now, Elisha had actually helped her before by restoring her son to life. So when he warns her about a coming famine, she listens. She takes his advice, packs up her family, and leaves her home and her land behind, becoming a refugee for 7 long years. Just imagine her situation for a second. After 7 years away, she comes back to find her whole life has been uprooted. She really has no choice but to go straight to the king and plead for what is rightfully hers, her house, her land. It's a pretty desperate move. And this is where things get, well, incredible. As this woman is walking into the court, the king just so happens to be deep in conversation with none other than Elijah's servant Gehazi. And what are they talking about? You guessed it, the greatest miracles the prophet ever performed. I mean, the timing is just unbelievable. The scene is pure drama. Right as Gehazi is telling the story of Elisha raising a boy from the dead, the living proof walks right through the door. You can imagine Gehazi can barely contain himself, pointing them out to the king. It's a perfect, undeniable confirmation of the prophet's power. The king is so blown away by this coincidence that he doesn't just give her back the property. Nope, he orders that she be compensated for all the income her land produced for the entire 7 years she was gone. A perfect, just ending, right? Well, don't get too comfortable. The story is about to take a very dark turn. So we're leaving that world of happy endings behind, and we're entering a realm of grim prophecy, deception, and cold-blooded murder. The prophet Elisha travels to Damascus, which is the capital of the rival kingdom of Aram. While he's there, a high-ranking official named Hazael is sent by his ailing king, Ben-Hadad, with a really simple question. Am I going to recover from this illness? What happens next is just a chilling moment of deception. Elisha gives Hazael 2 totally conflicting messages. The first one is a public lie, a bit of political theater. Go tell the king he'll recover. But the second message, delivered privately, is the brutal truth. The king is absolutely going to die, and Hazael himself, he's going to be the next king. As Elisha stares at Hazael, he actually starts to weep, and you have to wonder why. Well, it's because he has seen the future. He's seen the horrific violence that Hazael, as the future king, is going to unleash on Israel. The details are gruesome and specific. It's a prophecy of just unimaginable cruelty. So, Hazael doesn't wait for destiny. He seizes it. He goes back to his king, delivers the reassuring lie, and then, the very next day, he takes matters into his own hands. He smothers his king and takes the throne, fulfilling the prophecy through an act of brutal treason. So now we have a murderous usurper on the throne in Aram. And at the same time, we see how a different kind of poison, a legacy of corruption, is weakening the kingdom of Judah from the inside out. To really get what's happening, you have to understand the house of Ahab. Now, this isn't just a building, it's a political dynasty. It was started by King Ahab of Israel, a name that's basically synonymous with evil and corruption. And his family's influence, well, it spreads like a disease through political marriages. And that infection takes hold in the kingdom of Judah. King Jehoram marries Ahab's daughter, and surprise, surprise, he starts following his path of corruption. Then his son, Ahaziah, continues the tradition. This one single family tie to the house of Ahab, it becomes their fatal flaw. And that brings us to our final act. This is where all these separate threads, the murderous new king, the wounded royal, and the corrupt relative, are all about to converge. Okay, let's connect the dots. First, Hazael murders his way to the throne, just like Elisha saw. Then he starts that brutal war against Israel that Elisha wept over. In that war, King Joram of Israel, who's from the house of Ahab, remember, gets wounded. And this is the key. His nephew, King Ahaziah of Judah, who is also tied to the house of Ahab, decides to travel to visit his injured uncle. I mean, just think about how perfectly everything has lined up. You have two kings from the corrupt house of Ahab, now in the same place at the same time. And they've been brought together by the violence of Hazael, the very guy whose rise to power was prophesied from the very beginning. Every piece is now in place for the final act.
On the surface, it seems like a simple family visit, right? An act of concern. But given the legacy of corruption that connects these two kings and the violent prophecy that set all these events in motion, you really have to ask yourself, is this visit an act of kindness? Or is it the final fatal mistake that's going to seal their destiny?